Almost 1 million cars in France are affected by the VW emissions fixing scandal.
After the tragic results of the failed ignitions on General Motors vehicles, leading to at least 12 reported deaths, families took to the Capitol to seek justice for their loved ones.
The Bhopal gas tragedy happened in 1984 when toxic gas was released from a Union Carbide pesticide plant in Bhopal, killing about 15,000 people and leaving millions sick.
But these all didn't just happen boom once. There were indicators before. There was a culture of accepting bad practices. So it was increasingly realized that risks have to be managed holistically.
The shareholders, government, and the public wanted to ensure that risks don't suddenly emerge and affect their companies. And so, after the Enron and WorldCom incidents in particular, regulators across the world pushed companies to institute risk management systems.
That led to the development of the COSO framework, and it was quickly adopted by companies worldwide. And even in the Indian context, in the 2013 Companies Act, the board of directors of every company is required to certify that there is an adequate risk management system in place in the company. The reality is that while companies want to do risk management, they see that it is in their own advantage, but it is often done by tick box compliance rather than by actually internalizing what is required in the COSO framework. And so a recent survey in the USA found that as high as 41% of the senior management felt that risk reporting was not working as they would like it to be. We have been fascinated by this entire thing about risk management because the promise is so great. If we can prevent Wells Fargo type incidents or Satyam in India, for example, then that's such a big service to humanity, I would say.
To understand how risk can be managed well, the team engaged in a field study with 20 large financial institutions worldwide between 2013 and 2019. The study identified 4 key issues. Number 1, absence of vertical communication.
The top people don't know what it is on the front lines that is causing the risks to the company. There are also a lot of well-intentioned people at the front lines who don't know what it is that they are supposed to be reporting. And that causes a disconnect, which makes risk reporting does not work as well as it is supposed to.
Number 2, absence of horizontal communication.
While enterprise risk management is supposed to be holistic, but in practice, there is very little communication horizontally across the different departments.
Number 3, non-reporting of near misses.
A hacker gets access to your system, okay, but luckily doesn't steal anything. Okay, that's a near miss. You may not even sometimes be aware that that is what has happened.
Number 4, uneven reporting and communication.
There is sometimes there is very little risk reporting, but sometimes there is too much, and it is difficult for anyone to digest, and it happens with too much delay.
On the other hand, the study also found some best practices of companies that have improved their risk reporting to address these specific issues just highlighted. The first was a large American bank that had committed itself to ESG. However, unaware of senior management commitments, the company's frontline managers reported risk in the usual manner, and ESG factors were missing from the risk reports.
So initially the top management said everybody has to report 2 ESG risks, And if top management says you must do something, people generally do. So they started reporting risks, but that were not really strategically significant for the company.
To fix this, the top management started having regular monthly meetings with the frontline. While the frontline understood what it is that the top management wanted, the top management gathered what the frontline faces every day that might pose a strategic risk to the company.
So, for example, they identified that although the bank had committed itself to ESG, there was no analysis of ESG risks in the loan proposals that were brought for decision making. So, things like these became clearer with communication.
The bank went a step further and decided to incentivize the reporting.
They came up with an ingenious mechanism. They said to the middle managers, you identify the risks. We will also have auditors identify the risks separately. If you have identified at least 75% of what the auditors have also identified, then we will reward you. And the reporting process became much better as a result of that.
The second, a leading Asian insurance company that was facing problems with high claims. But this wasn't correlated with other things within the organization. They were not linked to policy underwriting criteria, reinsurance, or marketing that may have led to increased claims.
The company incentivized their employees to report risks holistically. They said a big KPI is the company-wide performance.
That led to different horizontal departments cooperating with each other much better in order to identify risks and mitigate them, so that their collective performance is better. This brought about interesting insights.
So they identified some of the same people who were committing fraud with motor insurance were also committing fraud in health insurance. Okay. Earlier, these were two separate departments. They did not have any communication. They could not identify that this was a common problem. But afterwards, once they understood, they started tracking these claims by the insured, by the agent, by geographical regions, and so on.
The third is a global leader in the reinsurance business. The company's Dubai branch received a call claiming to be from the CEO's desk to release $1 million to a fake client. The company officials, who could not take confirmation from the CEO as he was on a long flight, released the payment and lost it. The CEO, on examining this later, found that these calls were not unusual.
And he found that there was in fact a system of risk reporting, near miss reporting in place, but it involved 8 cumbersome steps. So he made sure that the system was simplified to a great extent.
They reinvested in a software to ensure ease of reporting and also directed frontline managers to report monthly near misses, controls, and challenges directly to the CEO.
That helped, but also another change he made was that he said, let's put dollar amounts to all these near misses. So people started feeling proud of reporting these near misses and the amount of savings it had led to for the company.
And last, a European insurance company that had a very structured risk reporting system in place, but with its own challenges.
There were quarterly risk reports to the top management. They were very detailed, but they were so detailed that it was impossible for the top management to go through all those and make sense of what it is that needed to be done about those risks. Besides, a 3-month interval, a quarterly report, is just too late to do anything about those risks.
The company developed an app and installed it on all senior executives' tables to keep them updated about risks. These executives were more likely to act upon information provided in short, timely snippets rather than in lengthy reports once a quarter.
They said, let's do it for the middle management as well. And so they came up with this elaborate system that reported risks immediately, and it reported them at the level of granularity that was appropriate for the level of the employee. So, as a result of which the understanding of risks became much better in that organization, and it is considered a leader in risk management in the world.
Across these 4 examples, there were 3 major takeaways. First, communication between different levels is a must. Second, incentives drive action. And third, keeping things simple makes them easier to handle. These lessons aren't just about risk reporting. They are applicable in any industry and any business circumstance.